What if I told you that the Tower of Babel wasn't just a metaphor, but a real structure that once reached for the skies? Not a myth, not just a story to teach us a lesson, but an actual monument that was constructed in defiance of God and paid the price. In Genesis 11, it says that after the flood, mankind was united with one language and one purpose. And in their pride they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered over the face of the whole earth." Genesis 11:4. It wasn't just about architecture, it was about control and pride. According to Genesis 11, the result was that they were scattered across the earth and their languages were split up. One day they were working side by side and the next they couldn't even understand each other. So the Lord scattered them from there over all the earth, and they stopped building the city. Genesis 11:8. The tower was left incomplete, and this story explains why we have different languages today. But the lesson is about more than just that. It's about the result of pride and arrogance. And here's the wild part. Archaeologists believe they've found the ruins of this tower. Most researchers point to ancient Mesopotamia, specifically Babylon in modern-day Iraq, as the location. The ziggurat of Etemenanki in Babylon might be the very place where it all happened. Let's explore this place, what was built, and why it eventually failed. Not only does this place align with the biblical texts about Shinar, but the archaeology also backs up these claims. Babylon wasn't just a big city, it was an engineering marvel. At its center stood a massive step tower called a ziggurat.
So there are three main parts to a ziggurat. There is the house on the top, there is the tower itself, and then there's the stairway that attaches the ground to the house on top. And so the house on top is the temple building itself. The people believed that the God lived in the house on top of the ziggurat.
These towers weren't just religious symbols, they were symbols of power and status. And Babylon's ziggurat, known as Etemenanki, was the biggest of them all. The name Etemenanki means House of the Foundation of Heaven and Earth. This wasn't just a poetic title, this tower was built to dominate the skyline. It stood over 300 feet tall, made of millions of mud bricks stacked in giant layers. In the early 1990s, German archaeologist Robert Koldewey began digging through the ruins of Babylon. He uncovered the foundations of a massive tower, exactly where ancient records said it would be.
Beginning in 1908, Koldewey unearthed the foundation of the Tower of Babylon. From what once was a towering ziggurat, only the lowliest portions of the base remained after its destruction by the Persian army, and where afterwards, for thousands of years, the local people took the valuable fired bricks for their own building projects.
Koldewey's team also uncovered walls, temples, and streets over the course of nearly 2 decades. The remains of the tower were found right in the middle. The base alone stretched hundreds of feet across, matching not just the scale, but also the design referenced in ancient texts. It was measured and mapped with precision, about 300 feet on each side. This monument was meant to be the centerpiece of Babylon. What's even more interesting is a clay tablet that was found during those excavations. It shows a stepped tower with a figure beside it holding what looks like a construction plan. And now, here's the mind-blowing part. What does the inscription say? It talks about a structure reaching the heavens.
Tablet believed to date back to around 600 BC or even further was discovered in the ruins of ancient Babylon.
Every one of the bricks was also inscribed with the name of Nebuchadnezzar II, the king credited with restoring the city to glory. In one inscription, this king mentions rebuilding the temple of the ziggurat, describing it as an old structure that had once collapsed.
Looking close up today, we can see the inscriptions of Nebuchadnezzar. He went to the trouble of writing his name and the achievements of his empire on every single brick.
Koldewey's sketches and documentation reveal a building with 7 levels, like a giant staircase to the sky. It would have been visible from miles away, an intentional display of power and ambition. Interestingly, the tower also showed signs of abandonment. Some parts were never finished, and others looked like they had been hastily torn down or left to decay. This mirrors the Genesis account of a great work suddenly stopped and left behind. These discoveries aren't just recent. Over 1,000 years ago, Greek historian Herodotus wrote about a massive temple tower in Babylon with multiple levels. When Alexander the Great showed up, he reportedly ordered it to be rebuilt, but gave up due to the sheer size of the ruins. Everything we've found lines up with the tower described in Genesis, a real structure built to touch the heavens that eventually crumbled into dust. Now that we've gone deep into this archaeological discovery, let's look into some strange details and stories passed down about the tower itself. The legends reveal how the builders saw the tower and what it cost them. There's one line about the Tower of Babel that has haunted people for centuries. When a brick fell, the people wept. But when a man fell, no one paid attention. This tells you everything you need to know about the mindset behind the tower. It wasn't just about reaching heaven, it was about obsession, glory at any cost. People became replaceable. Bricks didn't. The line comes from the Midrashic tradition, where ancient rabbis expanded on biblical stories. According to them, the builders became so focused on the project that they lost sight of humanity. The tower wasn't just a symbol of pride, it became a machine, a system that valued progress over people. Legends say that the builders used to carry bricks up one side of the tower and come down the other. It was a 24/7 operation, almost industrial. Some texts say it took a whole year just to take one brick from the base to the top. Then there's the mystery of the languages. When the Bible says people were scattered by having their languages confused, some ancient writings go further, claiming there were 70 writings created that day. Others suggest people didn't just create new languages, they turned hostile, even violent, as the confusion led to chaos. Outside of religious texts, the Tower of Babel has shown up in cultures across the world. In Sumerian myths, there is a story of a tower abandoned because of divine anger. Even in Mayan and Aztec stories, there are myths about people trying to reach the sky and being punished. It's like different civilizations all carried echoes of the same warning. So, what do we make of all this? An ancient tower that once stood in the heart of Babylon, meant to reach the heavens, reduced to dust. People unified by language, driven by ambition, who lost everything the moment they tried to place themselves above everything else. Archaeologists have uncovered the ruins, a foundation the size of a football field, bricks inscribed with Nebuchadnezzar's name, and tablets describing a tower that reached the skies. They didn't just find a story, they found a warning. This isn't the only time Babylon shows up in the Bible. In the final book of the Bible, Revelation, Babylon returns. But this time, according to commentators, it's more as a symbol than as a city. Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, and of the abominations of the earth. Revelation 17:5. That's when Babel became not just a broken power, but a legacy of pride, rebellion, and corruption. From the beginning to the end, Babylon represents the same thing: humanity trying to rule without God, and the ruin that always follows. The story isn't just ancient history, it's a pattern. The higher we climb without a solid foundation, the greater it falls. The Tower of Babel may be buried in the dirt of Iraq, but its message is still rising. That's it for today's video, thanks for watching. Have you heard about the story of the Tower of Babel before? What do you feel about finding out about the recent archaeological discoveries? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tune in for more groundbreaking discoveries.